is Rachel, and I'm coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. This is episode 23. This is our June mid-month check-in. So let's talk about goals I set for the beginning of the month and how they're going. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, and links to those are on my website in the description below, along with all of the makers and dyers and designers I talk about in today's episode. So a little bit on the shorter side. It is summer sock camp, so I am focusing on my socks, but I do have a couple other things to share with you. So let's get started. First off, finish objects. I did finish my Bibliophile 2 on time. I don't have it with me since it's still drying and I didn't want to mess with it too much. But I finished it like a day before the deadline. And I am really excited for it to fully dry so I can try it on, and I'll show you guys that once I have it on. But that is done. The other thing I finished were my glitter bomb socks. So we talked about this in the last episode. These are from Spun Right Round, and I got this skein for my birthday a couple years ago. And these are the happiest socks I have probably ever knit. There is just something about these neon speckles that make me smile every time. So I did a plain vanilla sock, 64 stitches, and this is on US 1.5 2.25 needle, and I knit them top down. So I started at the cuff, worked the leg, then did my heel flap and gusset, and then foot, and finished with the toe. These were vanilla for a reason. I didn't want something that was going to be too busy and compete with all the speckles. I really wanted those speckles to kind of shine through. So vanilla sock, I think it was a great choice. I love how they turned out. Just because those speckles are so random, it doesn't look like they're mismatched or whatnot, because they're just so beautiful. I love it. I love this color yarn. A couple of you have messaged me saying that you went out and bought this yarn, and I am so excited to see what you make with them. So these socks were my take everywhere socks. My other socks I kind of worked on with purpose, so I would work 20 rounds a day or 30 rounds a day, but these ones went with me everywhere. My kids had swim lessons for 2 weeks, so these went with the pool with me. They went to Taekwondo lessons, appointments. I had some videos I had to watch for work, so I worked on these during that. So that's why they went by so quickly, but also I was just really excited to knit those up. So if you haven't worked with this colorway, definitely do it. Again, this is Glitter Bomb by Spun Right Round. I have a couple of their other colors. One of them I'm using for a sweater that I have to finish. I started it last year, right before summer sock camp, and I just haven't finished it. So once camp is done, I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna finish it just so I can be done, free up some needles, free up with a bag, and then also just enjoy the things I make. So those were the 2 finished objects in the last 2 weeks. Works in progress. I have a couple, not too many. It hasn't gotten way out of control, but things are moving. So let me grab those. All right, so this first one is my Soho top, and this is knit with the Farmer's Daughter yarn. It's on one of their DK bases. I don't remember which one, but this colorway is called Mr. Pocket, and it is this beautiful, almost like an army green. It has lots of tones to it, so I'm definitely switching skeins every round just so I don't get patches of color. But it is moving. I have the whole front done. I've separated for sleeves. Actually, this one doesn't have sleeves. I've connected a bot for the body, and now it's just knitting the body. So for this one, I'm doing 30 minutes a day. and then calling it good. I have until like end of July to finish this. So I'm definitely pacing myself. There were a couple nights where I knit definitely more than 30 minutes, but I'm enjoying the ride. I'm just doing what I can when I can, and in that way I don't feel pressured into finishing by a certain date, or like I'm not working on other things because I have to finish that. So really enjoying it. Yeah. All right, sock whips. I have 3 right now. They're all on their second sock, and I'm like on the second half of it, so I'll show them to you. But it's one of those, I'm really glad I started like multiple pairs of socks so I can just kind of spread out the work. But also at the same time, it's like, maybe I should have just done 1 at a time or 2 at a time, and that way I could get them done quickly. I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking that decision through. But no new cast-ons until all 3 of these are done, which should be in like the next week or so. So here's the first sock for my Aphrodite. This is my June sock from Pasley Knits Yarn Club for the Gods. If you remember, I did a sweater for Coley in this colorway. Love it. Even though I'm not a pink person, really love it. Let me show you the bottom of that sock where you can really see the beautiful pinks, greens, kind of peaches, creams. She really knocked this one out of the park. So first sock is done. Second sock, the whole leg is done. And today my goal is to get through the heel flap and ideally like the whole gusset, maybe half the gusset. We'll see how I'm doing, but definitely get the heel flap done. And then just go from there. So the pattern I'm doing is Rhinebeck Roomies by the Crazy Sock Lady. And she had done a couple pairs of socks in that pattern, and it wasn't one I had done before. So I got it before camp started so I could do it specifically with this yarn. Just since there's lots of light colors, there isn't one color that's like dominant. So I wanted to have a more textured sock to both show off the yarn, but also have that texture pop out. So that is that one. The next pair, oh no, I'll show you this one first. So next sock I'm doing is my cabin retreat sock. So first one is done. This is yarn by Woolberry, and this was from their cabin retreat, I'm gonna say last year. Part of the retreat was they sent you this kit and you dyed your own yarn. So you were on a Zoom call with Bethany and she walked you through how to dye the yarn. And it was the most fun experience I have ever had. So I dyed this myself. I am so happy with how it turned out. The only colors that we used were navy blue, gray, and I think brown. But like, look at how, let me find a good patch. Maybe right here. Okay. So we use like a brown to speckle, and you get some reds or some yellows. Just the way that the colors kind of broke up just really add to some awesome texture in this colorway. So first sock is done. Second sock, I've got the leg done. I've got the heel flap and gusset done, or well, not the gusset. I've got my gusset stitches picked up. I'm working through the gusset. This has kind of become my take everywhere sock, somewhat. So this shouldn't take all that long. I always feel like once you hit the gusset, it goes by quickly. And then once you hit the gusset on the second sock, it goes by even faster. So it's one of those, I just need to sit down and get it done. But these have kind of been put on like third on my priority list for the next pair of socks I'm going to show you, mostly because I have somewhat of a deadline with those. Self-imposed. They're always self-imposed deadlines, but these also should be done rather soon. I may, because these are all kind of in that final stage, I may just like prioritize one sock and get it all the way done, and then the next one, and then the next one. But we'll see. These needles are a little different than what I normally use. I really like the Chalgu red lace needles. I have all my socks on the red lace needles. I have most of the sizes and various lengths of circular needles just for my regular knitting. I love the cable. I love the sharp tips. I really like a sharp tip. Haya sharps are sharper than a Chalgu. And I've hurt myself a couple times with those. Signature Needle Arts also has a really sharp tip. They call it their stiletto tip. But what's really is the selling point for me for the Chalgus is the cable. It doesn't kink, it doesn't warp. It is a beautiful cable that I just really enjoy. However, last Stitches West, so I think not this last one, but the one before that, there was a class on knitting ergonomics. And I took this class and it was like maybe 6 hours long. And it was phenomenal as far as knitting and your body, as far as like, how do you sit in your chair? What kind of chair do you sit in? How do you hold your yarn and your needles? Where do you hold your hands? Because I like to sit and knit like this, like a T-Rex, usually leaning down on top of myself, and that just wreaks havoc on my body. So I've been really working on keeping my hands down and not having like my neck craned down like this, because that's also not great for you. When I had my kids, when they were babies, I got some pretty severe mommy wrist. So I damaged some of the like ligaments in my wrists. So I have always had to be just very aware of how my wrists are doing. And to be completely honest, I'm probably overdoing it a bit with all these socks. But I really like knitting socks and I want to finish as many as possible this summer. So I've been making sure I stretch and doing some other stuff for my hands. But one of the things that this instructor talked about was the kind of needles that you use. That if you're using like a silk yarn, you don't want to use metal needles because silk is really slippery and metal needles are really slippery and you're going to be fighting with your yarn the whole time. You'd want to use something like wood that has a little more grip to it. And then we tried out some square needles because the square needles give you like an automatic like where to grip, versus like the round needles, you just have to make sure you're holding them tight enough. So these are, let me see if I can get a good shot of those. These are square needles. These are by Addie's Sachel. I don't know how to pronounce that. But these are Addie's. They're made in Germany. This is the Rocket 2, the Rocket Squared. And the whole idea is that it's textured and squared for ergonomic comfort, long tapered and sharp tips. The tips are not that sharp, to be completely honest. Slick turbo finish, smooth joins, pliable cable. The join is not as smooth as I like, and the cable is pliable, but it does have some memory to it. I am fussy when it comes to my knitting needles, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But these are 32 inches, so that is from tip to tip is 32 inches. And these are a US 1, 2.2 millimeter. So Addie, their US 1 is a Addie has a 2.5 millimeter as their US 1. Most other needles, a US 1 is a 2.25. And then you would go up to a 1.5 for a 2.5 millimeter. So all my Chalgu needles are 1.5, 2.5 millimeters. But I got the US 1 because it was 2.5. Does that, quarter of a millimeter make a difference? I think it does. I noticed when I was knitting my socks on a US 1, they were just a little too tight and I needed just that little extra room to get my socks to fit well. So I'm trying these out to see if they really are everything that they claim to be. I'm not sure yet. I'll probably knit at least one more pair of socks on this needle before I really decide if I'm sold or not. I just really like my chow goose. But it's been great to try something a little different. I'm pretty set in my ways as far as how I knit my socks, like what kind of needle I use. I tried DPNs and it was too fiddly for me. I also have small children, so that was too many sharp ends for my comfort. I tried 9-inch circulars and I realized I used too much of my hand to hold my needles. So my hands would cramp up because I couldn't grip the way I needed to. So I don't like those either. So I am a magic loop knitter, preferably on a 32-inch needle. I just got a 40-inch needle and I'm going to try magic loop socks as usual, but doing 2 at a time. I tried 2 at a time when I was just learning how to knit socks, and that was definitely not the best life choice. Just because I had too many things I was trying to learn all at once. Now that it's been a bit and I've learned quite a bit more as far as like my sock knitting, I feel like now I can try and tackle 2 at a time again because I have more knowledge. I don't have to think as hard as far as tensioning and yarn management and all these other things because I do those automatically. Now I can just focus on how do I knit 2 socks at the same time. So keep an eye out for that in the next episode. But my last pair of socks these were not a planned cast on. In talking with my mom at like the beginning of the year, I had mentioned that I wanted to do kind of some tutorials as far as how to do things. And she said, you should do a tutorial on how you knit your socks. I said, okay. And like every week, maybe once a month, she would tell me, okay, when is your tutorial coming out on how to knit socks? And I said, I don't think I'm ready yet. I haven't recorded anything. So this past week, my husband was out of town for school, and so it was just me solo parenting, and I figured this was the best time to do a tutorial on how to knit socks. So I went through my stash, and I picked out my Woolberry yarn. This is the Coastal colorway. This was from their road trip box, I want to say last year or year before. And I, like most things, I've been saving it for something special. So this is her wool cashmere nylon base, and it's very soft. I don't feel the cashmere as much as I do in other yarns, but it is very soft. So I'm excited to wear these this winter. So I have been knitting like a mad person, and filming how to knit socks. So to do that with the limited time that I had available to me, I've been knitting them at the same time. So the first sock is all done. I just need the toe. And I haven't recorded anything, or haven't done the toe yet because I wanted to record how I knit my toe. The second sock, I just did last night the video on how to pick up gusset stitches and how to start doing your gusset decreases. So then I'll record a segment, and then I'll knit furiously the next day on one of the socks to get it past the point of what I'm teaching in that video, so I can do a little bit of the knitting. So I could do a couple rounds of the gusset decreases and then say, and this is what it looks like, and this is what your next thing is going to be. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster as far as working through this quickly and working through them both at the same time. Yeah, probably not at the pace I would normally go at, but it's been a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for some tutorials coming down. I wanted to get them all recorded, and then do kind of the intro videos all at the same time, and then release them, one after another, or get them set up to release, every couple days, so that you have them all at once. Just since my ability to record is somewhat limited on who's home and who's not. We live with my in-laws and grandma, so there's just a lot of people here. So some days it's easier to record things, and sometimes it's not, because there are people living, doing life, and it's not fair to ask the entire household to be quiet for 45 minutes while I record stuff. So hence lots and lots of work on these socks. So my plan for today is to get this all finished and down to the toe, and probably do the toe on one of these socks so I can demonstrate it on video for one sock and then just go straight to the next sock and show how to graft the toe. So it's been an adventure. Definitely keep an eye out for those. I'm hoping to have them out probably in July, maybe. We'll see. Hard to say. But those have been fun. So, like I said, 3 projects, all on the tail end of being done. So my goal for like the next round, I have my Bertie Bots yarn that I received for the Fiber Friends sock swap. That's by The Perfect Stitch. If you didn't see that, I believe it's in the last episode is where I showed it. So I have that one to do as like my round 2, and then I have a yarn from Hickory Fiber Arts, Hickory Lane. What is she? Hickory Lane Handmade, I think. Lisa from Hickory Lane. She did a yarn called Hearts on Fire, I want to say last February before that, on this like really fun zebra yarn. I've seen a couple dyers use this base where it's like white, it's a white yarn and it has black spun into it, so you get this kind of like a zebra effect. But I have that to do as well. And then July is here like in a minute, so I have my pattern picked out for my July yarn. So on top of all that, my husband and I are going on vacation, and so I need to take like a vacation sock, but I don't want to take something that's almost done, because then what do I do for the rest of my vacation? So I am going to finish these 3, and I'll probably put a little more priority over the coastal socks since I am filming that, and my window to film is closing soon. Then I will prioritize the Aphrodite socks and then the Cabin Retreat socks. Once that is done, I have the Hearts on Fire by Hickory Lane. Those I'm going to do 2 at a time. So I'm going to focus only on that one. And then see where we're at after kind of our vacation and see where we are beginning of July. I'll definitely start my July socks July 1st. See where we are with the Hearts on Fire. And I may cast on my Bertie Bots socks at that time as well, but I'm not sure. I may very well just get super frustrated with 2 at a time and just put them on 2 separate needles and never try it again. But we'll see. And then before you know it, it's sock week with Natalie from Knitty Natty. I'm going to participate this year. So if you haven't heard, it's this whole idea where you knit a pair of socks in 8 days. So there you cast on at midnight on Friday, and then it, like the official start date, I think is Saturday, July 9th, I think. Check out her Instagram. All the information's there. It's a free knit along. So I already have my yarn picked out for that. I'll share it with you guys in the next video so that you can see what my plans are for that. But if you haven't heard, go get some more information and then join us for Sock Week. So that's it for my knitting. As far as books I'm reading, shows I'm watching, I am listening to Mastiff by Tamora Pierce. I needed kind of like a comfort book I've listened to many times. So it's the Becca Cooper series. So it begins with Terrier, and then it's Bloodhound, and the last one is Mastiff. So I've listened to it so many times, but I just needed something comfortable. So I've been working on that one. Shows, I'm kind of between shows right now. I started House of the Dragon again just because I needed something. My sister just told me about this show. I think it's called Jury Duty on Amazon. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to try it and I'm going to report back. But if you guys have any shows to recommend, please throw those in the comments. I like series and I like completed series so I can just watch all the way through. I really don't like waiting for the next episode, which is so millennial of me because that's what we used to do. We had to wait until next week's episode, but you know, the internet makes things easy now. Yeah, first world problems. But the last thing I wanted to share with you guys is this channel just hit 200 subscribers this morning. So exciting. I know that's not a big number, but it feels like a big number and we should celebrate that. So I'm going to do a giveaway for hitting 200 subscribers. I have 2 yarns here and the winner gets to pick which one they want. This is from Legacy Fiber Arts. So this is the first one. And both of these don't have names. They're just called Mystery Sock Set. So we're going to call this one Purple. But it's got this little mini. It's on their steel toes. Super cute. They had a moving sale. And I needed a reward for not buying new yarn. So of course I bought new yarn. And so I got 2 of these. And then the other one is this like fluorescent green, which is just so bright and so happy. So the winner will get to pick which one they want, if they want the fluorescent green or the purple. And let's have some sort of prompt. Let me know in the comments. I didn't think of a prompt beforehand. Why don't you put in the comments what your favorite, tell me what your Starbucks order is. We'll go with that. Or your coffee shop order if you don't go to Starbucks. Tell me your coffee shop order and I will pick one at random and you guys will get to pick one of these sock sets to celebrate 200 subscribers. So that is all I've got for today. Like I said, it's a little bit on the shorter side since I just have a lot of works in progress. I'm hoping for the July episode, I will have 3 finished socks and a couple on the needles. So thank you for being with me for like a year and a half, for helping me reach 200 subscribers. It has been great being able to share this knitting journey with you guys for the last year and a half. And yeah, have a great Sunday. Today is Sunday. I don't know when I'm going to post this, but whatever day it is that you're watching this, have a great day. Find ways to be kind, and I will see you at the beginning of July for finished objects and also some new July plans.